He was just 19 years old, a face too young to carry the weight of guilt, yet old enough to mastermind a scheme so vast it reached across continents. From behind the glow of a computer screen, he crafted an empire built on lies, stealing millions from unsuspecting victims who never saw it coming. With every stolen dollar, his life transformed. A quiet boy from a modest home turned into a flashy figure flaunting wealth that seemed impossible for someone his age. Luxury cars, extravagant parties, and a lifestyle that caught the attention of everyone around him. But what no one could see was the trail of clues he left behind. What started as a game for him became a high-stakes pursuit for the authorities determined to bring him down. And when they finally did, the story took an even darker turn. In the interrogation room, with nowhere left to hide, he didn't admit to being the mastermind. He didn't confess remorse for his victims. Instead, he turned to the one person he believed was responsible for his downfall, his own mother. This is the story of how ambition, greed, and betrayal collided in a way that left an entire community in shock. It is a tale where trust was shattered, lives were destroyed, and the question remains: was this young man shaped by his environment, or was his fate sealed by his choices? Stay with us as we uncover every piece of this unsettling puzzle and reveal how it all came crashing down. He wasn't born into wealth, yet somehow, at just 19 years old, he lived like a king. His name whispered in hushed tones, he became an urban legend, a young man who seemed to defy the odds and rewrite the rules of success. But behind the glimmer of designer clothes and the roar of exotic cars lay a secret he worked tirelessly to conceal: his wealth wasn't earned, it was stolen. Meet Alex, pseudonym, the 19-year-old who manipulated the internet to his advantage, creating a virtual playground where trust was a commodity to be exploited. His schemes were as audacious as they were effective. Using fake identities, fabricated stories, and masterful social engineering, he targeted victims across the globe. Lonely hearts searching for connection, businesses desperate to secure lucrative deals, no one was off limits. Each click on his keyboard was a calculated move in a game of deceit. As his bank account swelled, so did his confidence. Alex didn't just enjoy his ill-gotten gains, he flaunted them. He threw extravagant parties that became the stuff of legend in his community. His driveway boasted luxury cars, and his social media was a highlight reel of indulgence. For his peers, he was an enigma, someone who seemed to have cracked the code of life. But for those paying closer attention, questions began to emerge. Then came the day it all unraveled. A raid, a handcuffed walk into custody, and a stack of evidence that painted a damning picture of his activities. But the story didn't stop there. When confronted by investigators, Alex did the unthinkable. He didn't deny the charges. He didn't beg for leniency. Instead, he turned to his mother, his voice trembling, his eyes defiant, and laid the blame squarely on her. "She's the reason I did this," he told them. But was it true? Did his upbringing truly set him on this path? Or was this another carefully crafted lie, designed to divert attention and manipulate the narrative one last time? This story isn't just about Alex. It's about a growing epidemic of cybercrime among youths, young people lured by the promise of fast money and an escape from their circumstances. It's a story that forces us to question the roles of family, society, and morality in shaping our choices. By the end of this video, you'll see how a mother's love, a community's neglect, and a young man's ambition collided in a tragedy that could have been prevented. Stay with us as we unravel the threads of this tale, and reveal how greed, deception, and betrayal created a legacy no one could have anticipated. Alex grew up in a modest neighborhood, a place where opportunities were few and ambitions often crushed under the weight of poverty. His mother, a single parent, worked tirelessly to make ends meet. She was a seamstress, stitching dreams for others while struggling to provide for her son. Even as a child, Alex stood out. Teachers praised his intelligence, and his classmates marveled at his ability to solve problems effortlessly. But what set Alex apart also isolated him. He wasn't like the other kids who dreamed of regular jobs. Alex wanted more. he wanted it all. As he grew older, the internet became his escape. What started as hours spent watching YouTube tutorials and playing online games quickly evolved into something more insidious. Through forums and social media, Alex discovered a hidden world, a place where people like him were making incredible amounts of money, seemingly overnight. It wasn't legal, but it was tempting. In his community, Alex wasn't alone. Internet fraud, or Yahoo as it was commonly called, had taken root among the youth. They saw it as a way out, a ticket to a better life. But the techniques they used weren't just clever, they were cruel. Romance scams, phishing schemes, fake investment platforms, every tactic preyed on the vulnerable. And Alex? He learned fast. Faster than anyone could have anticipated. The crime and lavish lifestyle. How it all started, it began with a simple scam. Posing as a wealthy businessman, Alex created a fake social media profile, targeting lonely individuals looking for love. His charm, intelligence, and ability to weave believable stories made him a natural. Soon, the money started rolling in. From romance scams, Alex branched out into phishing schemes, tricking companies into revealing sensitive information. He built fake websites, sent emails disguised as legitimate requests, and siphoned money with a precision that baffled even seasoned investigators. Every transaction, every lie, brought him closer to the life he had always dreamed of. But it also left a trail, one he believed no one could follow. With his newfound wealth, Alex transformed. The boy who once wore hand-me-downs now draped himself in designer clothing. He bought a sleek sports car that roared through the streets of his neighborhood, a glaring symbol of his success. He hosted lavish parties, where the music was loud, the drinks flowed freely, and everyone wanted to be close to him. But Alex didn't just live the life, he flaunted it. His social media became a highlight reel of excess. Pictures of exotic vacations, luxury watches, and expensive meals flooded his accounts. To his followers, he was an inspiration. To the authorities, he was a target. Alex's downfall began with a mistake, one small detail he overlooked in his elaborate schemes. It started with a victim, a widow in the US who lost her life savings to one of his romance scams. Her report triggered an investigation that spanned months, involving cybercrime units, bank analysts, and undercover agents. The evidence trail was damning. Transactions tied to Alex's accounts, IP addresses traced back to his home, and screenshots of his fake profiles, all meticulously documented by the authorities. The final blow came from an insider tip, someone close to Alex who had seen too much and decided to speak up. The raid happened at dawn. Police stormed Alex's luxurious apartment, catching him off guard. Cameras flashed as he was led away in handcuffs, his expression, a mix of shock and defiance. The community was stunned. How could a boy they had watched grow up be at the center of such a massive operation? Whispers turned into conversations and conversations into outrage. Some were furious at Alex, others were curious about how he had managed to fool so many for so long. The name Alex became synonymous with betrayal in his neighborhood. In the interrogation room, faced with mounting evidence, Alex broke his silence. But instead of taking responsibility, he pointed to his mother. "She pushed me to do this," he claimed, his voice steady but filled with resentment. According to Alex, his mother's constant pressure to succeed drove him to crime. He described a childhood where failure was not an option and where his dreams were dismissed in favor of practicality. But was it true? Or was this just another lie, spun to shift the blame away from himself? His mother, heartbroken and blindsided, denied the accusations. "I raised him to know right from wrong," she told reporters. "I worked hard so he wouldn't have to struggle like I did." Neighbors described her as strict but loving, a woman who sacrificed everything for her son. But others wondered, had her relentless drive for him to escape poverty unknowingly set him on this path? Or was Alex simply using her as a scapegoat? Alex faced an array of charges, from cyber fraud to identity theft, each carrying severe penalties. Prosecutors painted him as a remorseless criminal, while his defense argued he was a product of his environment, a young man corrupted by the allure of quick money. The trial became a media circus, with headlines like "Teenage Millionaire" or "Mastermind Fraudster" dominating the news. Public opinion was divided. Some saw Alex as a villain, while others viewed him as a tragic figure, caught in a system that failed to guide him. The courtroom was tense as the verdict was read. But even as the case came to a close, the questions lingered: was Alex a victim of circumstance, or had he always been destined for this life? And perhaps most haunting of all, could it happen again? Was Alex a victim of circumstance, shaped by the relentless pressures of poverty and a fractured upbringing? Or was he a calculating manipulator, someone who saw an opportunity to exploit others and seized it, no matter the cost? These questions lingered not only in the courtroom but in the hearts of everyone who followed the case. What role does society play in enabling such behavior? When communities glorify wealth without questioning its source, are they not complicit in the choices that lead young men like Alex astray? Imagine, for a moment, being one of his victims. Perhaps you were a single mother, working 3 jobs to put food on the table, only to find your bank account emptied after trusting a promising investment pitch. Or maybe you were a lonely widow, hoping to find a connection after years of isolation, only to realize the sweet words of love you'd heard were crafted to deceive. The pain, the betrayal, the humiliation, they're impossible to quantify. But Alex's story wasn't just about the victims he left in his wake. It was about the people closest to him, too, none more so than his mother. As the trial reached its climax, all eyes were on the moment Alex's mother took the stand. She was the one person who might shed light on the truth behind his claims. The courtroom fell silent as she walked in, her steps slow but resolute. What would she say? Would she defend her son, despite his accusations? Or would she condemn him, distancing herself from the choices he had made? And then, the confrontation came. Face to face with her son, the boy she had raised and sacrificed everything for, she spoke words that would ripple far beyond the walls of that courtroom. Words that would force everyone watching to question not just the case before them, but their own role in the broader narrative of crime and accountability. But what did she say? What moment in that courtroom changed everything? That answer, more shocking than you might expect, is coming next. Stay with us. Do you think the mother truly bears responsibility for Alex's actions? Or is he simply trying to escape the consequences of his choices? Share your opinion in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you think. What punishment do you think is fair for someone like Alex, who targeted innocent victims for personal gain? Should his age and background be considered, or is justice blind to circumstance? Let's discuss in the comments. If you've been hooked by this story so far, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people uncover shocking cases like this one. And if you're as curious as I am about what happens next, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you never miss an update. This story isn't over yet. We're about to uncover a moment in the trial that left everyone speechless. What do you think happened when Alex's mother confronted him in court? Leave your guess in the comments before we reveal it. Imagine being one of Alex's victims. Would you forgive him? Or is there no redemption for someone who exploits the trust of others? Let me know how you would feel if this happened to you. If this story shocked you, take a moment to share it with someone who would find it just as fascinating. Spread the word about how cybercrime is impacting lives across the globe. After weeks of dramatic court proceedings, the verdict was finally delivered. Alex was found guilty on multiple counts of cybercrime, fraud, and identity theft. The judge sentenced him to 12 years in prison with hard labor, marking a turning point in his young, yet destructive, life. The court was filled with mixed reactions. Some applauded the decision, seeing it as justice for the victims whose lives were ruined by Alex's schemes. Others pitted him, viewing his actions as a tragic result of poor guidance and unchecked ambition. But just when it seemed like the courtroom drama was over, Alex's mother took the stand to deliver a shocking testimony. In tears, she admitted her own role in his downfall, not as an accomplice, but as a mother who had failed to recognize the warning signs. "He was always online," she confessed. "I thought he was learning. I never imagined he was doing this." She went on to reveal that Alex's father had abandoned the family when Alex was just a child. The burden of raising him alone while juggling multiple jobs had left little room for supervision. Her emotional plea painted a picture of a mother consumed by guilt and regret, sparking a wave of sympathy from those in attendance. This revelation added an unexpected layer of complexity to the story. Was Alex's blame on his mother entirely misplaced? Or was her negligence, though unintentional, a contributing factor to his descent into crime? Alex's story is a haunting reminder of how unchecked ambition, societal pressures, and family dynamics can collide to create a tragedy. While justice was served for his crimes, the emotional scars left on his victims and family are far from healed. This case forces us to ask difficult questions. How do we balance ambition with moral values? How much responsibility do parents bear for their children's actions? And what can society do to prevent young minds from falling into the trap of quick, illegal gains? If this story moved you, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the mother's testimony changes how we should view Alex's actions? And what would you have done differently in her shoes? Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping stories like this, and hit the like button if this case left you as shocked as it did us. Stay tuned, because there's always more to uncover in the complex world of crime and justice. Now that you've heard Alex's story, do you think justice was served? Or is this a case where society also bears responsibility for creating an environment where such crimes flourish? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. If you found this story gripping, there's so much more to come. Hit the like button if you want more true crime stories like this one, and don't forget to subscribe for weekly updates on the most shocking cases from around the world. As we bring this story to a close, let's recap the incredible twists and turns that brought us here. It began with Alex, a 19-year-old whose sharp mind and digital skills could have built a promising future. Instead, he chose the shadowy world of internet fraud, targeting unsuspecting victims with cunning schemes. His wealth grew as fast as his ego, flaunted on social media in ways that ultimately drew the attention of authorities. We followed the meticulous investigation that pieced together his crimes, paper trails, digital footprints, and tip-offs from those who couldn't ignore his brazen displays of ill-gotten wealth. Then came the arrest, a moment that shattered the illusion of invincibility he had carefully crafted. But what truly shocked us all was the twist, the blame he placed squarely on his mother. A claim that forced us to confront deeper questions about upbringing, societal pressures, and personal accountability. Finally, the courtroom confrontation, where his mother's words pierced through the chaos, leaving everyone to grapple with their own interpretations of guilt, innocence, and complicity. This story is more than just the rise and fall of a young fraudster. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the devastating consequences of neglecting moral values. It's a tragedy not just for Alex but for the countless victims whose lives were impacted, and for a family now fractured by betrayal and shame. So, what can we learn from Alex's story? Perhaps it's a lesson in the importance of guiding our youth before they're seduced by the allure of easy money. Or maybe it's a call to reflect on how society glorifies wealth without questioning its source. Ultimately, this story forces us to consider the fragile line between choice and circumstance, and the ripple effects of our decisions on everyone around us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for another gripping tale of crime, justice, and the human condition.